Hi, this is Dr. Mark Santa, and welcome to this edition of the Level Up Podcast. This is a breakthrough coaching podcast where we introduce you to the ideas, the strategies, and the people who help you bring your practice to the next level. And I'm very excited to have a great asset for you in your practice. Dr. Ryan Camo is the founder of Kinetisense. If you haven't heard about Kinetisense, strap on your seatbelt. You're going to enjoy this. It's going to blow your mind, blew my mind when I got to actually see the system and the technology at our elite seminar down in Punta Cana. Beautiful area to go. And I invited Ryan to be here with us today. So, hey, Ryan, thanks for coming to us all the way. I don't know if you're up in Canada or where in the world you are today, but it's great to see you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you, Mark. Thanks for having me. I am in Canada right now. There's some travel coming up down the line, but I'm already starting to lose my tan from the Punta Cana trip. So that's a little bit of a concern. But besides that, we're doing pretty good.
Well,
But we're
that's
getting winter's on its way, that's for sure.
here it comes. Here it comes. Well, to me, having been in the functional rehab space for almost my entire career, functional assessment, everything from the functional movement screen to Dr. Yonda's work of upper and lower cross has always been a part of breakthrough coaching in our systems. And as you know, it takes a lot of special training. It takes a bit of time in the practice as well. And you have innovated a technology that is amazing. I'm going to ask you to give a little background history to how we got to this point, where we can actually capture 3D functional images that are assessing patients, comparing it to normative database, and doing things that I'm so excited to get. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but actually transmitting exercises and stretches to patients on an app. So this is going to be really cool. But give us a little bit of your background because I know that you've practiced as a chiropractor successfully and had this concept and had to reach out and take it to some of the major tech companies to order to get this off the ground. So share with us a little bit of your background story.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mark, and really appreciate that. And you really laid it out, I think, really well, is in the sense that we're trying to solve one of the biggest issues that we have in the NMSK space, so the neuromusculoskeletal space. And it comes down to this objectivity for efficiency trade-off. And
Yes.
that's a really important concept, is that as practitioners, we're trying to, help as many people as we can. We're trying to be as objective as we can.
Mhm.
But on the assessment side, we've really been lacking tools that allow us to have that objectivity and still maintain that efficiency.
Yes.
And that objectivity efficiency trade-off actually plays a key role in every single clinical decision we make, whether we're looking at adding an assessment tool or whether we're looking at adding a treatment modality or a treatment type. As practitioners, we kind of subconsciously make that calculation in our brain
Yeah.
as to is the reward going to be significant enough for potentially the cost or the time that it's going to take to implement it.
Yes.
And I'm definitely preaching to the choir, Mark, because you deal with this every single day with breakthrough coaching and some of your clients. And so I saw this early on. And if you know, I guess back up a little bit to why Kinetisense was created is, for me, I come from a medical family, long story short. And my father, my siblings, they're in different parts of medicine, and they have these amazing tools to be able to quantify and look at where that person is at any given time. Whether it's an MRI, whether it's a diagnostic ultrasound, they have those tools to have it what I call is a clinical compass,
Hmm.
where they can assess the person at any given time, and then they can actually use that information to start to make decisions as to how they want to progress the care, or what type of care they want to do. Do they want to do Graston technique? Do they want to do, spinal manipulation of the thoracic spine along with active release technique? Do they want to, have red light therapy included, right? We have all these
Yeah.
tools. We should have all these tools in our toolbox.
Yes.
And we don't have that in the NMSK space. Like we've been very, very limited with the tools that we have. And
Hmm.
we have to simply rely on a lot of subjectivity, especially when we're talking about dynamic human movement.
Yes.
Like we have our goniometers, our inclinometers, our, for joint by joint assessment, which is fantastic. But what if we could actually assess the entire NMSK movement of the individual from a neurological standpoint, look at how they're compensating and be able to map out what I call as neurophysiological subluxations,
Hmm.
movement subluxations, and be able to actually then enhance, the chiropractic care, the different joints that we, do an adjustment on, that we actually palpate, that we do additional testing on. That's really the game changer, and that's why I created this because I felt that chiropractors need, if we're going to be movement specialists, if we're going to enhance human movement and human health and longevity is based on movement. That's what we
There
we,
is.
we actually enhance movement. That's what we do. We better have a tool that can look at the dynamics of human movement.
Mhm.
And we've been missing that. And so the problem is that in the NMSK space, up until now, we didn't have the ability to have a massive, $3 million university biomechanics lab in our clinics.
Right.
That I actually worked in one of these labs when I was an undergrad. That's how I started to learn about, functional movement and human movement. And it was like, man, the amazing, the 3D data that we get from these systems is amazing, but I don't have time to put, a black suit with ping pong balls on my patient and then have to calibrate all my cameras and, try to then understand what XYZ data means because a lot of practitioners, they don't have that level of biomechanical knowledge.
For
I
sure.
need something I can like walk into the treatment room with, be able
Hmm.
to do a quick assessment on an iPad Pro,
Yep.
or use this in the training room, or even take this out into the community and
Hmm.
start to be able to screen the patients I have, but also start to bring in new patients, start to grow my clinic base. It's actually funny, we designed this to be, we call it expert augmentation, not expert replacement. This is a technology that is supposed to make the chiro an even greater expert. And it's again, it's only one of the tools in the toolbox that we should have on the assessment side. But what we quickly started to find is that it was a huge augmenter on the patient side. It was insanely augmentative, and I'll talk a little bit about a study that we did that shows some of this, but it really was the game changer where the patient's like, wow, you're starting, like I feel great after I have my adjustment and I leave your clinic. You're showing me why now.
Yes.
And you're doing it in a way that, for the practitioner, it takes 1/4 the time of assessment to do this. You can even have staff members that are running the assessment side for you, which then
Mhm.
frees you up efficiently to be able to help to treat your patients and help to treat more patients and generate more revenue.
I love it. And we found that it helps conversion as well and retention tremendously. And we're seeing retention increasing 30 plus percent, which is a big darn deal um, because people are visual. They can see this. And I think that's what the game changer is.
100%. And when we're looking at, the visual aspects of it, and I'll just come forward here, the visual aspects of it where, they're seeing that there's an assessment that's being done that's objective. First of all, that's huge for them. Or the practitioners then after the mapping occurs, and you see that on the right-hand side with the joint mapping, they'll show that to the patient. They'll say, look at what your score is. Look at how how you scored for your age, your gender, your anthropometric measurements. These are again with the biggest data set in the world that drives this at the patient visit level, and people love to see their numbers. And when they see that, they take that report, they share it with their family members, they share it with their friends at yoga, their friends at pickleball, their
Right.
medical doctor.
Your
Uh,
spouse.
and the referrals that come
Yeah.
from this is just absolutely phenomenal. And guess what? They want to work on their correctives.
Hmm.
They want to work on, which are AI generated within seconds, by the way, from the system. They want to work on that. They want to come in for their sessions to see you, right? And they want to do this even when they're not in pain. They want to
Right.
actually shift. What we're seeing as practitioners, these patients will, if it's done the right way, will shift from being a pain patient into a functional movement patient where
Yes.
they're getting rescreened every month. They're coming in to get their adjustments based on the functional planar mapping. They're doing
Mhm.
their correctives. And we're actually starting to call these practitioners, the practitioners have actually coined this as longevity care.
Well, it is. Movement is life, as you said, right? The your ability to move is your ability to remain autonomous. As you get older, it's everything, right? The less you move, the smaller your world gets, and it closes in and closes in. And so, what you're doing really is helping people live a vibrant life for many, many years ahead.
When you stop moving, you start dying, as
Yep,
far as I'm concerned. And that is how important we are as chiropractors to our population,
totally
is we
agree.
actually we actually allow for them to continue to be able to move. And if we can enhance that process, because one of the things that we forget oftentimes, and Mark, you're actually very good at reminding, your clients about this, is that we're in the business of human movement. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, the patient is our client. They're the ones that decide to come to our clinic. They have a decision to see any practitioner they want to see.
Mhm.
They're our consumer, they're our customer,
Yeah.
right? And it's funny, as practitioners, we get so caught up on when we add a new clinical tool of assessment or a new clinical treatment. How does this help us? How does this enable me as a practitioner? What does this do for me, right? And we oftentimes forget about, what is this, tool or technique or whatever do for the patient? What's their perception? And that's the cool thing with Kinetisense. When we didn't realize when we created it, but we realized after, from hearing the stories of the different practitioners and with the study that we had done, enhancing the patient perception of the clinic and the practitioner by 25 to 30%.
Mhm.
How differentiating is that? I mean, that's an insane soft ROI driver right there. Increasing the likelihood of compliance rebooking by 20%, increasing the value perception of the treatment, increasing referral of family and friends by 20%. And then you added, increasing, I think 30 to 35% we're fighting with conversion. Um, Imagine that you were an owner of any other company that was non-chiropractic or any other business.
Those would be good
These numbers would be
stats.
staggering, right? You'd be like, this is everything I want in my business for growth, right? And it's cool because this system, when it's implemented the right way, is hitting the mark. And
Right.
this can equate to millions of dollars of additional revenue.
As you know, we have many of our clients are multidisciplinary with physical therapists in the office with chiropractors. And one of the challenges is that as chiropractors, we think globally, right? Global movement. And there are some PTs will put a patient on a plan of care for ankle rehab, and then their ankle is moving great, and they come back to, okay, patient's ready for discharge. We've got all the movement we need in the ankle. But what about everything that sits up on top of that ankle and that whole closed kinetic chain? And so we're finding that it actually helps write a better plan of care that really takes into consideration the whole being, and not just a back or shoulder or knee or ankle, and it aligns very much a case management system that is objectively evidence-based and not just pain-based, right?
Well, think about, let's think about this from a case perspective, which, you did a really good job explaining that, Mark. Let's say we have someone that has an ankle injury.
Hmm.
Let's say that they twisted their ankle. The longer that they've had this injury, they've been walking on it. We've actually started to see neurological changes that now occur.
Yes.
So in the central nervous system to the peripheral nervous system, that driver of myelinated pathways, things like that as we compensate. And some of our patients have had injuries for like a year or two
Yep.
that they've been dealing with, and how the joints above and below and even, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 segments away have altered in a triplanar way, in a three-dimensional way to accommodate that.
Mm-hmm.
And how that affects the entirety of that wiring. So now we have this altered wiring of compensation. We then go in and rehab the specific joint that was of injury, but we don't address all of these, upward or downward compensation mechanisms. What's the number one predictor of injury? Previous injury.
Well, yes.
And
For
and that
sure.
right, exactly. And so is that area still compromised to injury, or is it just because we did not clear the compensation above and below that is making it at risk again? And that's where, I would argue that's where chiropractic can really take this space over.
Yes.
Because if I say to a patient, we're going to rehab your ankle, we're going to get this better for you, we're going to work on that. But guess what? Interestingly enough, you're actually lacking transverse plane mobility on the hip on the same side. You're
Hmm.
also you're also lacking frontal plane mobility in the low back, right? And we can actually start to look at these different joints that are compensating and start to say, hey, to the, patient, we're going to be working on this at the same time. We're going to be getting you in for additional sessions where we're going to be working at, these different joints above or below the kinematic sequencing of that joint of issue and
Yes.
start to clear that as well. Patients love this.
Hmm.
And it's a novel approach that, they've gone to maybe other chiros, other physios, other, the medical doctor. They're not getting that approach. And that's where I think chiropractic can really take the space over. And it falls exactly in line with the subluxation model that we've been trained.
Totally. Yep. Very, very much. So that the body is a master compensator, and it's so good at compensating that you are unaware in your body of the compensation that's taken place. And being able to have that captured and displayed, and a lot of our docs actually do the assessment up on a big screen LED TV, right? And so that the people can actually see as you're doing the gait analysis or a fall risk analysis, which is so cool. We didn't even talk about that yet. The system actually can give a percentage of risk that you're going to fall, which is such an, I mean, epidemic in our country. It's 25,000 people a year dying from falls, right? And so being able to do that type of an assessment, super, super cool. Um, but yeah, thank you though. But it is that the idea of compensation and compensation correction brings your care to a whole different level of conversation with the patient.
Well, it does. And I think, think about adding, I know a lot of practitioners have an insurance component to their clinic.
Sure.
Think about the value of adding, a shifting to a performance, a longevity, type of mindset as well too, as another segment of the clinic. We have clinicians that are going out in the community and screening, their athletes locally. They're signing up the baseball teams and they're doing the CAMS movement screen on them, which takes a minute to do, and providing correctives and charging for that. A lot of them become patients in the clinic. Even if they're not in pain, they're coming in to get worked on to improve their performance, right? Think
Yeah.
about, going to the senior facilities and partnering with them locally, doing risk of fall assessments on them. You talk about risk of fall. Over the age of 65, 50% of those that fall and fracture a hip, which is common, will die within 1 year. How
Yes.
many of our patients in our clinic are over the age of 65?
Yeah.
They absolutely need to have that screen. And if they're deemed to be risk of fall in their Medicare, Medicare takes that very seriously and will oftentimes see that as a chronic condition where they can have unlimited sessions with you.
We yeah,
So
we've actually put together a whole coding list CPT coding list for our breakthrough coaching members. You can find it on the website. It's the Kinetisense coding guide. And it's everything from your functional assessment 97750, which is a great, great tool for you to add to your practice, all the way through the fall assessment codes, all the way through the rehab codes. And I briefly mentioned, you mentioned briefly about transmitting the corrective exercise and stretches to the app, that's actually, most doctors have no idea that that's remote therapy monitoring, and that there's a whole section of CPT codes where you're reimbursed for those services. And by the way, that's where reimbursement is going, making sure of compliance, quality of life measurements, and having that engagement with your provider. That's a big darn deal. So, yes, absolutely, these are great cash services, and I recommend absolutely that you charge cash for them, a fair cash fee for them, and go out and screen your pickleball folks and go out and screen your golfers before they get fit for golf clubs, right? All those wonderful things that the system can do. And but also know there is a very significant insurance reimbursement component if that's something that you're interested in pursuing in your practice.
100%. And it's incredible to hear some of, the success stories of, new practitioners that start a clinic and build $1 million practice in 1 year,
Right.
or clinics that, add Kinetisense and they add, an additional $1 million of revenue
Mhm.
just by getting into the community and screening and differentiating it. It's exciting, and it's a passion-driven project for sure to enhance chiropractic and to make us the leaders, or to enhance us as the leaders in the NMSK space. And yeah, it's really exciting.
Very cool. So, what's the next step for folks if they're interested in bringing the system into their practice? I typically recommend that they sign up for a demo
Yep.
and get to actually see and experience what that's about. Um, I do know that you guys do a tremendous job with support and training. One of our docs posted up on her Facebook site the actual training session going on is that they're all sitting in a circle and actually doing the assessment yesterday. Actually, I think she put it up, which was really, really cool. So, what would be the next step that you would recommend, Ryan, for folks?
Yeah, that's great. Go to our website, www.kinetisense, that's KINETISENSE.com, or directly email Tess. So
Great.
TESS at kinetisense.com. Tess is the representative of Kinetisense that's working with the breakthrough team. She's phenomenal.
She's the
You had
best.
a chance to meet
We
her,
love
Mark.
Tess. Yep.
Yeah, she's very special, and she'll take very, very good care of you. And what'll happen is that we will get you into a setup. Actually, before we do that, we'll learn about your practice and we'll tell you about how we think we can help you. And then we get you all set up, and then the training is going to be very specific to the needs of your clinic.
Yes.
We want to make sure that you and your team are 100% comfortable with Kinetisense, and also know not only how to run the system, which is really easy to learn,
Mhm.
but also how to implement it into your workflow. That is what we
Yeah.
specialize in, and we're here for that every step of the way. Then, when you come on board, we have onboarding materials for you. We have different videos for you to watch for advanced training. We even have created over 50 social media posts for you that you can take and throw onto your Facebook or your Instagram, and they're already pre-made.
Yeah.
So
They're
we
beautiful too. I've seen them.
we take that very, very seriously, and we need to make sure that this is a great revenue driver for you and a great ROI for you. Otherwise, we failed. So we do everything we can to enhance that process for you and make it completely streamlined.
Well, I have to tell you, Ryan, our team is absolutely thrilled with our partnership and working together. This is certainly when you talk about problem solution, right? So this is a problem confronting every chiropractic practice today. The price point that you can have this in your practice is hundreds of dollars a month, right? You spend more on Starbucks, your staff does,
You
to
can
have
generate
this.
one new patient a month from this.
Exactly.
You've already generated an ROI. Everything after that is gravy.
So it's priced correctly for the practicing doctor to be able to access this in their practice, whether you're a multidisciplinary practice with PTs and DCs and NPs, or if you're a solo chiropractor and it's you and maybe a rehab assistant, this gives you the tools to really take that practice to the next level. And like you said, it's a big differentiator. You want to be the person in your area who's known to do these functional testing that is just not available anywhere else. So it's so cool.
And it's for every type of chiropractor. Our
Yes,
most successful chiros with it are actually straight chiros that aren't necessarily sports medicine.
right.
Um, so it is for every type of chiropractic clinic, like you said, Mark, and it is proven to be a really great differentiator. We're excited to continue to work with Breakthrough and get some more of your members onboarded and hear some more success stories.
Well, Ryan, listen, I appreciate your time and I appreciate all you do for our profession, and it's really taking us all to the next level. So just shout out to you and the team at Kinetisense and how much we really appreciate you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you too.
And this is Dr. Mark Santa, and we're going to wrap this Level Up podcast. And as always, I want you to make today an exceptional day. Thank you all. Bye bye.